Scott Fitzgerald, he wrote that the loneliest moment in a person's life is when they're watching their whole world fall apart and all that they can do is just stare blankly. We all know the dread and despair of a broken heart. You hurt, you ask why, you can't believe that chapter in your life it's over and it's tearing you up when you smile, especially when you smile. You get an image of your ex out of nowhere as a constant reminder that you can't fully enjoy that smile because it just feels empty and you miss them. You could be surrounded with your closest family members or your compadres, but for now, the one that matters the most, they're not there and they should be. So you go back to that despair and your heart, it skips a beat. You just lost someone that you love, part of your life, and that's just going to be a difficult journey as you feel incredibly alone. Loneliness and boredom, they're not the same thing, but they sure act like it. If you're going through a divorce, you really need to listen to this video because here I'll be addressing just how when you take care of the boredom, as in become engaged or interested in something or someone else, the loneliness factor just disappears. Oh, really? For Rizzo, my shizzle. So let's start revving that engine. My name is Rene Garcia, and I'm a divorce coach for men. I work with now thousands of men to help them get their balls back after they've been clipped. And if you're going through a divorce, you really need to talk to a divorce expert. Make it a one-on-one with me. And while at it, join what's become one of the fastest men's divorce support group on Facebook. The link for both of them are in the comment section underneath. Just click on it. You'll see. I did a study of the quality of life of divorcing men, and I looked at most difficult part of a divorce. Finding your purpose, it came first, with loneliness coming in at a very close second. Question is if there's anything that you can do to cut down the lonely factor. And yes, there is, because your personality, it has a lot to do with how lonely you feel. Introverted men, they're the most susceptible. In another study, looked at the personality and loneliness, and it determined that men with a clear sense of purpose and those with a compelling vision, they recover faster. The bottom line is that you must adapt, you have to find a new identity, and you must have a sense of direction. Now, there are numerous studies to show that there are things that one can do to eliminate the loneliness, but unfortunately, conventional wisdom, including many mental health counselors, they don't educate their patient on these options. Many will just say to give it time. So, to those healthcare professionals, I say this as a reminder to your profession. The grief, accompanied by loneliness, dramatically lowers your quality of life. It literally causes pain, leads to depression, PTSD, lowers cognitive function, and unfortunately for men, it leads to a 2.5 time increase in suicide deaths. So quite literally, grief kills. Therefore, if you're a mental health professional and your default answer is to give it time, shame on you. And stop taking your clients' money, because think about it. If insurance companies did not pay you per client, or you didn't accept insurance, would you really be saying that, or would you be getting to work with them right away? Remember that you're the professional here. When men want to die, they need a reason to live. That's the bottom line. Thing of it is that as humans, we're creatures of habit. And when I say humans, I mean men in particular. We like to stay within our comfort zone. Many of us, we don't like to leave the house as often. We stick to the same music and talk about today's music as though it's a pile of crap, and probably been doing the same dance move since the year 2000. Hell, we're such creatures of habit that many of us, we refuse to take a crap at any other place that's not our own home. And some of us won't even take a crap in the guest restroom in our very own home. That's how much we don't like change. Wait, you want me to go in here? Oh, hell no. 30 minutes to get home, I can make it. Moral of the story is, shit in someone else's place. No, that's not the moral. Moral of the story is that you have to find a new love, a new passion, something worth living again, but one that involves some kind of socializing. Many of us, we just distract ourselves, and that's good for a while. Me, for instance, when I first got single, I thought that I was going to die. I was emasculated, and I thought I was all washed up. So I escaped. I escaped by playing a lot of poker, but deep down inside, I knew that this was only a temporary distraction, and that soon my ass was going to have to start doing the work. I was going to have to start learning a new skill, one that required extending my social circle. And I mean, it all worked out, and so will it for you. Right now, you just lost a loved one. You have a gap to fill, an empty space at the pit of your heart, and others will tell you that you can't replace one for the other, but that's not what you're trying to do here. What you're doing is you're remodeling your life to fit that new need, your new normal, that pit of despair, and there's no shame in that. You have to find a new passion, something worth living for, and something to wake up in the morning to. You're going to have people saying that you're doing it wrong, that you're making mistakes, and of course, there's certain things that, well, can lead you to a terrible road and take you down a downward spiral. I've seen people miss work and get fired find companionship in the bottle, or replacing their void through sexual addiction. And right now, more than ever, you're going to have to be uber disciplined and break those old bad habits and learn some good new ones. While trying to get rid of the loneliness, though, what you really mean is emptiness. Because, like I said earlier, you could be in a room full of loved ones and you still feel that void. So, what I'm going to be recommending, there are things more to help fill the void rather than just upgrading your social circle. Although, in the end, it'll work out that way. Your job right now is to find something that you love and dedicate your time to it. But you know how I said earlier that you have to be careful and not go down that rabbit hole? You can avoid this and keep yourself honest by first starting a morning routine and sticking to it. Seriously, sticking to it. I began waking up an hour earlier and going to the gym. Holy crap. This 4:30 thing is kicking my ass. But that also included my then 13-year-old son in the picture, and I think I created a monster. So how did I manage to get up an hour earlier? Well, I don't drink coffee, but I would put my alarm on a half hour prior to having to get up, and when it would go off, I would just pop a half a caffeine pill. After 30 minutes, couldn't sleep anymore. Something else I did is to start kicking my own ass and start working out. Now, I did it more to avoid the depression rather than to change my body, look good, and all that stuff. I mean, I was scared shitless about the anxiety and depression I was going to be undergoing. So I forced myself, seriously forced myself to do cardio. And by cardio, I mean HIIT. The biggest benefit to working out are the mental benefits because they're almost immediate. If you're doing it to change your body, I mean, that's going to take some time, weeks to months to years. And lowering cardiac disease, well, I can't see it, so it doesn't exist. But if you work out to feel better, that's the ticket. By the way, that comment about heart disease, I know it's real. Please don't take me literally. But working out, it just helps you remain level-headed, and it's going to help with stress. And again, if you do have kids, take them with you. Give them that opportunity to learn. And that way you're also going to bond with them, which is an additional benefit to you. And if you don't know how to work out, there's a new passion right there, and you could learn some more. I have a ton of workout videos in my program. To my latter point about learning to work out, it's not so much the learning to work out that I'm referring to, but rather I'm getting to learning a new skill and one that you admire in others and go from there. Take a community college course on something that you've been wanting to learn or to do. I took one on style and I got a lot more than I bargained for, as I was surrounded by college students, and the Gen Zs, turns out that they're a lot more chill than I thought, and I could learn a lot from them. And that's where I got the idea to start a YouTube channel, learn to edit, and eventually to coach. So there certainly was a snowball effect here. Think of someone that has a skill or a knowledge that you envy and pick it up. It can be photography. In my case, it was style, but in many others, it can be dancing. Pick it up. A lot of guys don't like to admit that they envy something about someone else, but in one of my studies, I asked men to name a famous person that they admire, along with why. Of the men who put someone down, these guys, they showed a better quality of life, including increase in income, than those guys that said nobody or just myself. And I think the reason for that is just like that personality survey or study that was mentioned earlier, these guys have a sense of direction. So if you like something, let's say Keanu Reeves, because he has his shit together. See why he has shit together and write it down. Or Elon Musk, because he's a visionary. Write it down. What about it do you like? On a side note, during a webinar I was presenting this results to the group, and I mentioned Keanu Reeves, and out of nowhere, I just hear this guy saying, yeah, I'd fuck him. How about volunteering to add value and meaning to your life, or dating just for the sake of meeting people? I made many good friends just for dating alone. But be careful here, because men, we tend to go from one relationship to another, and they really need to know their value in all this. And when I say this, I include myself too. This is because there's a reason why 63% of second marriages, they fail. One day, my son, he asked me if I would have hired a divorce coach after my divorce. And I didn't want to give him the basic knee-jerk answer. I wanted to be honest with him, and more importantly, with myself. Hell yeah, I wish I would have hired a divorce coach, because had I done that, I'm not so certain that I would have shortchanged myself with the skirt of what became my second ex-wife. I would have learned what my value was, and that for every decision that I make, there are going to be consequences, be them good or be them bad, because I fucking knew going into that long-term relationship with what became my ex-wife, that it was going to lead up to some major turmoil. But I took the risk anyways, and in turn, I paid for it in a literal sense, where it did cost me around 7 figures, but more importantly, in time, and in a time that I'll never get back. And that's what hurts the most. So hell yeah, I wish I would have hired a divorce coach. How about meetup.com and just join an event like surfing lessons or even knitting? It doesn't matter. Just try new things out. Social media is also a good place to meet. There's a lot of newly separated men who they just start a Facebook account. Don't close yourself to not having one because you haven't had one. Social media has gotten a bad rap, but it's also a good way of reaching out to those who have no idea how to reach out to others because it's been years, like your high school friends. That's what I'm trying to say. I think it came off confusing. As for social media, a lot of men, they find a lot of value in my group, and it's really intended for men to learn about themselves and to grow. And that's why I called it finding your higher value. Like, no bitching's going to be allowed. Seriously, join. There's nothing in it for me but volunteering, and it's free and it's confidential. Plus, I run webinars all the time and for you to learn from. You really have nothing to lose from here. Now, in this video, I went over a lot of information, the risk factors, along with the consequences and ways in which to approach and defeat loneliness. I wanted to give you ways other than just meeting other people because that's our knee-jerk response or a way to do it. But I wanted to give you a way in which to make your life more fulfilling, other ways that have worked for both me and for my clients. My mission is to get you to thrive after divorce and not just to settle for getting beyond it or through it. These files are those of my active clients. My prior clients are archived in a locked closet. Just like you, all of these guys, they have a story and they put their trust in me, and I'm asking for the same from you. Men's divorce coaching doesn't do a one-size-fits-all approach. They're actual one-on-ones tailored specifically for you and a plan to get you ahead of your problem because everyone is different. So go to the comments section and click on the link. Make your life purposeful and define it because maybe it's going to be your last hurrah. Why not? Thank you very much. I'ma wake up, do damage. Join them,